Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds. So this is where I like to collect together all the albums that I've purchased over the past week and present it to you. I get it from different places like my local record store, but also online retail like Amazon, eBay, and more. I've got 17 albums to run through with you, including hitting up a brand new record store called Factory Records, which I'll talk about towards the end of the video. But before we get started with all of this, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this with New Music Finds. So as always, we like to kick off with brand new releases. A big one that came out this past Friday was Animals, the 2018 remix. And kind of interesting, there's no title of the band, title of the album, name of the band, title of the album, anywhere on here. They did a new, front cover artwork for this thing, same sort of place. I think it was called the Battersea Power Plant. Inside of this thing is really quite cool, well done. No liner notes, as you know, they were fighting over that, which is why this is a 2018 remix, because it was done back in 2018, but took 4 years for them to get to this point to be able to put it out. So very well done with the artwork and everything, but no new liner notes. Now, in terms of the 2018 remix, for me, the changes to it are so subtle that I barely recognize any difference to it. I mean, it sounds really good, don't get me wrong, but I could just as easily be listening to the remaster as I am listening to the remix. So for me at least, I'm not finding a big difference on this or any sort of aha moment by listening to it. It's nice, I'm glad I've got it, but if you're expecting a big world of change or something like that, it's not on it. All right, next up we've got Ringo Starr in EP3, his third EP in a series. I believe he's just doing the 3. I don't know that there's a 4th one coming. And he's done, 4 or 5 songs per EP with the intention that I believe at the end he's going to gather it up into an album. But this all started back over the pandemic when people couldn't get together and record. And so that new method of being able to record remotely and piecing it all together, he started doing that, and he's just completing that out here. And very good if you like the first 2 EPs or you like the past few albums that Ringo has made. You're going to love this. Very good stuff. It's got the usual suspects on it. Steve Lukather is there. I think he's on all of these things, playing guitar from Toto. And you've also got front woman from 4 Non Blondes, Linda Perry, on there, and a few other really cool guests. Next one was a cool one. Wasn't expecting to enjoy this one as much as I did. Smith Kotzen, Better Days and Nights. And so this is a half studio, half live album, 9 tracks total. The Better Days part of this was 4 new studio songs that were recorded after the last album and put out for Record Store Day a year ago. Finally getting a CD release now with this, because that was an exclusive. And for this, they've tacked on 5 live songs. My only complaint is that 2 of the live songs are also the same as 2 of the studio songs that are on here. So of those 4 new studio songs, the song Hate and Love and Got a Hold on Me, those are tracks 5 and 6. So you listen to those first 4 songs and then you turn right around and you get a live version of those. And I wish at least those had been put at the end, but I kind of wish they had just put 5 live tracks on here that don't duplicate any of the studio material. Still, those 4 studio songs are really good, the live performances are good, and it was just great getting something new from Smith Kotzen. So we got that. The one that blew me away, the one that was totally not expected, I wasn't even planning on picking this up. I was at Sound Exchange filming, what's new at the record store. This came in, and I said, what the heck, let me pick it up. I've got all the other ones. Brand new House of Lords, Saints and Sinners. So if you heard me talk a little bit about it there, you know that this now features Mark Mangold on keyboards, who's played with Touch, Drive, She Said, a number of different groups, does a lot of session work, but now he's part of the band here, and he has really added, a shot or a big injection to the group. And this thing, from start to finish, there isn't a bad song on it, in my opinion at least. Really just good. 11 songs, all standout tracks on here. I haven't felt this enthused and good about a House of Lords album in a long time. They've been good, and they're good for what they are. And when I'm in the mood for that, they've been great. But they're not albums, or it's not an artist I would say that I go crazy for when they're releasing a new album kind of a thing. I've got to be in the mood for them. I have to say, though, this one here changes all of that. I've really, really enjoyed this. So if you haven't listened to them for a long time, or you're just, looking for something really good from that sort of AOR style rock, late 80s sound, check this one out. House of Lords, Saints and Sinners. Very, very good. And here's a new release that came out a couple weeks back, but was back ordered, and I finally just got my copy of it. A to Z. And this is a cool project. It's got Ray Alder from Fates Warning, vocalist, and former Fates Warning drummer Mark Zonder on here. And then we got a couple other guys on here as well, rounding out the lineup. But very cool. And you see, so the album cover is interesting because they're called A to Z, or A through Z maybe. I think it's actually an A through Z. But we've got the apple, we've got zebra. We flip it over, we've got ant, we've got zeppelin. And they do a number of cool shots like that in the booklet on the inside. Now, so the weird thing is when I wasn't planning on picking this up either, and it came out, and I listened to a few tracks, and it really grabbed me. So I was excited about that. Put it on order, had to wait a few weeks for it. It came. Listened to it a couple times, and it didn't do a whole lot for me. So I don't know, maybe my mind is somewhere else at this moment, but I'm going to put it away, and I'm sure I'm going to pull this thing out later, and it is just going to be perfect. So I know it was perfect at one point. Don't know what happened and why my mind is feeling something different at this point, but I like Ray Alder, so I'm excited to have it in the collection for that at least. Right, and then, of course, when I was at Sound Exchange doing my filming, I always pick up some stuff, and one of the things I picked up was Modern English reissue of their album that's called After the Snow, and this is the popular one that has I Melt With You on it from 1982, and it's got new artwork on it. I didn't realize why I didn't recognize it, why it looks so much better than the past one. This is a 2019 reissue. And it's got some bonus tracks, some remixes and things like that on it. 12-inch version, stuff like that. But very cool. I've been in a new wave kick for a while, so I've been picking that up. I've also been in a sort of female-fronted rock band, sound. And so I've been picking some of that up like this. The Motels, All for One. And this one here having the big hit, Only the Lonely on it. Although I didn't really know any of these. I kind of recognized it a little bit when I checked it out. But it's just one of those bands that I've heard a lot about, never owned anything, never really investigated. Used CD, so I picked that up. Picked up Bonnie Tyler, Faster Than the Speed of Night, with an N. I sometimes say speed of light. But this one I'm picking up actually for Jim Steinman, having produced the album, co-written some songs, stuff like that on it, fleshing out the two albums that I have that he was involved with from Bonnie Tyler, although she's great too, but I really am more interested in those two albums specifically because of Jim Steinman. And then this one, if you saw me talk about it during New Music Now, Pentagram, Review Your Choices. I wasn't sure if I had this, didn't have it, because I actually thought I owned everything from them, and then I pulled this out and I didn't recognize the album cover, so I went ahead and bought it anyways. Turns out I don't have it, so that was kind of cool. I don't know why I thought I owned everything by them, but I did, and I got that, and so that was really great and glad to have it. Now we're at the point where I hit up a brand new record store for me, and it is called Factory Records. And so this was a lot of fun, and I want to thank my friend Joe for taking me with him to go out and check this place out. He had talked to me about it a while back, but I kind of dismissed it because, as he said, there's not as much CDs there as there is vinyl. It's a vinyl focused place. Turns out they actually had a lot of CDs, so I was very happy with that. But I found some vinyl as well. And so I actually got 4 of each. Let me take it out of the bag here. And we'll do the CDs first. So being on that new wave kick, I picked up some stuff that I'd been eyeing, like Ice House and their album Man of Colors. Don't know anything or much about these guys. I know their song Electric Blue, or at least it sounded very familiar to me. This is the album that is listed as their essential album, and when I was just looking for more new wave stuff that I could check out, this kept popping up, but it's out of print. And then I went to Factory Records and they had it, so that was very cool. I found a Corey Hart album, and I've got, the one main one that has Sunglasses at Night on it, but this one here called Fields of Fire, it's very different. This one here is a much more melodic album, definitely more, adult-oriented rock, that sort of thing. This was cool though. Wall of Voodoo, and this album here called Happy Planet. Never seen this one before. Their stuff is hard to come by. This is with the later vocalist Andy Peabody, I think I'm saying that right. So that's cool, picked that up, been enjoying that. And then needed a jewel case edition of this. I have a vinyl replica version on CD, but Wang Chung and the album itself, which is Points on the Curve, the big hit that was on here that we all know, Dance Hall Days, that kicks that off. So I was glad to get a hold of that. So those 4 CDs, very cool. But where I actually made the score was in the vinyl. And a couple of you guys have mentioned things and saying, oh, now that you met Anthony, you're buying more vinyl. And yes and no, that's true and not true at the same time. Yes, it has been since meeting Anthony, but it's not because of Anthony. It's just that I've gotten to this point where I've got so many CDs. I have over 11,000 CDs. It's harder and harder to find new things on CDs. And I've returned my focus back over to vinyl because there's so much stuff on vinyl that isn't available on CD or much more scarce on CD, things like that I can pick up. And here's one that I don't know that was ever pressed to CD, but very cool. Joshua. And the name of this album, Surrender. I just picked it up and thought it looked like a cool album, and then of course I flip it over and I read who the band members are that are on here, and Jeff Feenholt is the lead vocalist on here. If that name does or does not sound familiar to you, he was a member of Black Sabbath very briefly, recorded some demos, never made an album or anything. We have a few of those different people, but this one in particular, I've never heard sing other than those demos, and so I wanted to have an album where I could actually check out what this guy sounded like. And so, at least in this case, he made a full album. So that was very cool to have that. Next one up, Boulevard, and this one, Into the Street. And as it even says on here, rare. So this one here was a little more than I like to pay for my vinyl. It was 20 bucks, but I so much enjoyed the Boulevard album that I picked up at Princeton Record Exchange, and that one was just on a whim. Didn't know anything about them except they were a Canadian band. It looked very cool and of the 80s, so I went ahead and got that one for 5 bucks, but I liked it so much and then couldn't find anything more, so I decided to pay a little more than I would like to pay to get that. And a while back, I was getting into the band Prism, and I only could get this one digitally, and so I was glad to find this one, See Forever Eyes. Odd title, but there you go. And very much enjoyed this one, but like I said, was only listening to it digitally, so now I've got it on record. It's from 1978. And then here's one that I wasn't expecting to find. I've been listening to Jen Bivor? I don't know. I know I was saying this wrong before, and you guys have been having a good laugh about it. I know it's supposed to be French, and as soon as somebody gave me the reference way to pronounce it, it sounded so much better, and maybe you guys can tell me again, but try and get that one right going forward, but I don't have that at the tip of my tongue right now. Drums Along the Mohawk, solo album from him, 1988, CBS Records, of course with the Plasmatics, worked a lot with Gene Simmons and Kiss, co-writes, things of that nature. Crown of Thorns band is where I know him from, that came later on, but very cool. So I was super excited about those 4 vinyls. That really put me over the top for this past week. And of course, all the whole thing, all 17 releases, very, very good stuff. But there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Certainly leave your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Hey, what albums did you guys get this past week? What stands out for you? What's a great find for you? That kind of stuff. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.